Abstract. Line 1. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. So Satoshi is saying, hey, if we can make digital cash like physical cash, you won't need a bank or other financial institutions to transfer them. Wouldn't that be really neat? Okay, Satoshi didn't say the wouldn't that be really neat part. That's me. Digital signatures provide part of the solution, but the main benefit are lost if a trusted third party is still required to prevent double spending. Well, we can do that by using digital signatures. Basically, we can make digital cash with digital signatures. But we lose the main benefit of that cash if we still need some third party to make sure that no one is copying and pasting the money and double spending that digital cash. Double spending meaning, say I have 10 digital DM dollars and I copy paste and I make a gajillion and I double spend the money. So that's kind of what double spending is copying and pasting the money and putting it out there. So yeah, we propose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network. So he's saying, hey, we know there's a way to solve this problem of people copying pasting digital money by using a peer-to-peer network, kind of like BitTorrent. Side note on peer-to-peer networks, generally what peer-to-peer means is the computers talk directly to each other. There's no middle computer that's mediating the communications. It's just direct, okay? It's like friends. The computers are friends with each other, so a lot of structures are not peer-to-peer. They go through a central party, okay? A central server, and then they communicate that way. But this is peer-to-peer, meaning any computers talk to each other on a network, and all computers are sort of equal. They're all peers, they're all friends. Okay, the network timestamps transactions by hashing them into an ongoing chain of hash-based proof of work, forming a record that cannot be changed without redoing the proof of work. So what he's saying is the peer-to-peer network timestamps every transaction by taking a unique digital fingerprint, which is also known as a hash, of transactions and forming a chain of those unique digital fingerprints that is secured or locked by proof of work. So what's happening is the computers in the network are basically going, okay, these transactions happen. We're going to take the unique fingerprint of this transaction and we're going to run this thing called proof of work, which is basically like using the transaction and its unique fingerprint, the hash, to find a lock that secures it. Okay, and it takes work to find this lock. So proof of work is basically a way to prove the work has been done to secure the chain, and you can think of it as the locking the individual parts of the chain together. Okay, computers doing the proof of work are called miners. They mine everything. They mine for this magic lock that's mathematically built. They do proof of work to lock one group of transactions, often called a block, together with the next one. So the ingenious thing about this proof of work is that each time a block is locked, the next lock is built on top of that lock. And so I know that sounds confusing, so let me simplify that even further. Okay, so you have a group or block of transactions. We're going to call this block number 1, and it's locked by its own proof of work. Somebody mined it already. The next block number 2, carries the lock of block number 1, okay, and then uses that lock in its own transactions to calculate a new lock for itself, thus forming a chain. Make sense? So you magically take the previous lock, put it in your own block, and then you use the lock itself and you use all the transactions to make a new lock for this block, and that way you're chaining these blocks. That's why it's called a blockchain, because you're chaining it using proof of work. As you can see, the more blocks, the more security, and the harder it is to crack open the blocks to mess with the past transactions. So we'll give you another example. If you're at block number 42 and you want to mess with the transactions of block 35, you have to open the locks of block 42 all the way down to 35. However, consider this. The keys to the locks are thrown away. Never to be found. So you have to break the locks. And to do that, it requires tremendous amount of computing power. Okay? So it's not... So think of it as the bigger it gets, the harder it is for you to unblock or break every lock. So it takes so much computer power to make the lock. The only way for you to actually try to hack the network is to break the lock, and that also takes computer power. Okay, and there's a whole another section he has here that talks about all of this. There's a proof of work section which we'll go over. So basically, all this means is Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency that's based on blockchain technology, okay, as it scales, it becomes statistically improbable, next to impossible, but not impossible, to mess with the system in terms of double spending the money. And we'll hit on why it's not completely impossible. When I say statistically impossible, it's more like the chances of it happening is 0.00000000000000000000001. Okay, it's so low that it's practically impossible, but you still have a percentage chance. So even if it's minute, but we'll go over that in the next in the proof of work section. The longest chain not only serves as proof of the sequence of events witnessed, but proof that it came from the largest pool of CPU power. So the longest chain is proof of the order of how the transactions took place, and it also proves that the largest number of computers worked on it. Or the largest pool of CPU power worked on it. As long as the majority of the CPU power is controlled by nodes that are not cooperating to attack the network, they'll generate the longest chain and outpace attackers. So as long as the majority of the computers are honest, they'll make the longest chain and basically outpace any unhonest bad actors or group of actors. There's another way that groups of actors are actually sort of incentivized to basically become part of the network, and we'll go over that again in the proof of work section. The network itself requires minimum structure. He's saying, okay, to set up the network, it's fairly simple, because I read the rules, and the rules are kind of simple. Messages are broadcast on best effort basis, and nodes can leave and rejoin the network at will, accepting the longest proof of work chain as proof of what happened while they were gone. So computers can talk to each other and tell each other about their version of the chain of unique fingerprints, the blockchain. And computers can come and go into the network anytime. So when they come back, they know what happened because they can see the longest chain. And that concludes our abstract section. I will be going into the introduction section in a few.